Okay, on this little video, we're going to take a quick look at some AM responses. As you can see, we've got AM out into 50 ohms. We're using the low impedance switched output. I currently have 100 hertz AM. We're in a fairly slow AGC time constant of 100 milliseconds. I currently have AM filtering pretty wide for the signal we have. Let's take that down to 3 times our bandwidth, so you can see right here we are set, and you can see it looks beautiful. I am going to slowly increase the AM frequency to 300 hertz, and you'll notice we lost about half the amplitude, which is what you would expect as we're 3 dB into the filter. So the filtering is obviously working correctly. Let's make that our widest possible filter of 30 kilohertz, and you will note that I can bring that up. Alright, let's bring that down to around 10 kilohertz and slowly bring her up, and you'll notice she falls off at 30 kilohertz. The AM does filter very nicely, and we're currently at 50%, of course, and I have an AM level of 2300 associated with low impedance. If we go to high impedance, which of course is 75 ohms, we can go ahead and remove our current load. And sorry about that, my hand is going to get in the way for this as I slowly change over to a 75 ohm load, which is not a standard on the scope. So here we have our 75 ohm load. You'll notice we're once again nominally 2 volts peak to peak. I haven't actually adjusted that level. Let's go ahead and set that. It should be right around 2050. And Alex, we're going to need to remember that 2050 is too low. It might be around 2100. Anyway, it doesn't matter at this point for what we're doing. But you can see again, we see the half falling down, so that is working. And another thing to see, since we're here, is the effect of AGC. Okay, we are on our fastest AGC time constant, and we're currently set for an AM right around 30 kilohertz. You will note, as I start bringing that down, that the AM becomes very distorted and peculiar because we have gone below the AGC time constant. You'll notice the AGC can compensate for the signal at that point. Let me bring the function generator up, and we're finally seeing a linear response. Well, getting very close to the linear response at this point. Okay, if you want extremely low AM frequency response, we must go into our slowest AGC time constant, so slow it's still charging the first time. Okay, now that it is finally charged, you will find we can go to a very, very slow rate. So here we have about 55 hertz. I guess I could measure it, but it's not that critical at the moment. Let's start bringing her down. Okay, let's get her in some more. Okay, and right around here, we're right around 10 hertz. And I'm going to switch over to the internal, because my external function generator isn't as accurate down below 10 hertz. Oop, I missed. So let's get back to 10 with our internal. And you'll note that we are finally coming hard up against our time constant here. Okay, we have 5 hertz, 4, 3, and you will note it is slowly gone. At 1 hertz, that is our response. Considerably lower than a tracking receiver needs to be, because do remember that AM is AC coupled. Now on the same deal, if we go from AM and we look at the AGC output while we're in AM, you will note, and let me bring that rate up to like 100 hertz here. You will notice no response at all on the AGC, because 100 hertz is well within the AGC response rate. But should we go to a fast AGC, like 0.1 milliseconds, you'll note it. Oh, that's right, I'm on the internal. You will note, and it is AGC, is DC offset, as you can see. But you will note that we have our AM signal impregnated on the AGC because we're in a fast time constant. That's how the time constant of the AGC differentiates between the AM response and the AGC response in the receiver. And of course here you can see the IF filters and some of the external. You can see our 10 megahertz external jumper cable, which fits reasonable. Can't wait to see the production version. And of course I have the cover on because things work better that way. And this has been running all day. You'll note it's only drawing 15 watts. And this is in P band, and internal, which is our worst case. And here you can see the Rev3 and Rev2 in this card to get a feel for how they appear internally. So that's the progression of the tracking receiver. It is working pretty well. I've got a few minor noises and calibrations to work out yet, but overall it seems to be working.